It started on what seemed like just another ordinary evening. A man came home from a long day, expecting comfort, laughter, and the warmth of his wife waiting for him. Instead, he was greeted with silence, an uneasy silence that told him something had shifted. Her smile was still there, but it felt different, almost rehearsed, as if she was playing a role in a story he hadn't been invited to read. This wasn't just a marriage, it was a bond built on years of shared dreams, late-night talks, and promises whispered under the stars. But tonight, there was a secret in the room, and he could feel it pressing down on his chest. Love stories are supposed to be about trust and loyalty, yet sometimes real life tests those very foundations. In this story, we explore the delicate line between love and betrayal, between the heart's deepest desires and the choices that can shatter everything. She was beautiful, confident, and carried herself with a charm that made people turn their heads. He was devoted, hard-working, and willing to give her the world. On the outside, they looked like the perfect couple, a picture of happiness that many would envy. But behind closed doors, cracks had started to appear, cracks that no one else could see. She said she was working late, chasing deadlines and building their future, but his heart told him another truth. Was it his imagination? Was he just being paranoid? Or was there something waiting to be uncovered, something that would change his life forever? Sometimes the hardest part of a relationship isn't the betrayal itself, but the way it forces you to question every memory, every word, and every moment of love that came before. As this story unfolds, you'll see how one kiss, one choice, and one secret can tear a heart apart, yet also lead to an ending no one ever expected. Before we dive deeper, I want you to think, if you were in his shoes, would you want to know the truth, no matter how painful it was? Or would you rather hold on to the illusion of love, even if it meant living a lie? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because your perspective might change the way others see this story. They had met years ago in the most ordinary way, through mutual friends at a small dinner party in the city. She had walked in wearing a red dress that made everyone turn their head, but it wasn't just her beauty that stood out, it was her warmth. He remembered how her laughter filled the room, how she leaned in when people spoke, making everyone feel seen. That night he thought he had found someone rare, someone worth building a life with. And for years, he believed he was right. Together they built a home filled with memories, from weekend road trips to lazy Sunday mornings where coffee and conversation stretched for hours. But somewhere along the way, the energy changed. It started small, little things he brushed aside. Late nights at the office, a sudden need to guard her phone, her smile lingering just a second too long after reading a message. He convinced himself it was stress, that the long hours and pressures of life were wearing her down. Still, the doubt grew quietly in the back of his mind, whispering questions he didn't want to ask. He wanted to trust her, to believe that the woman who once held his hand under the stars still loved him the same way. But love can be complicated, and trust can feel fragile when the pieces don't quite add up. Sometimes, it wasn't even her words that unsettled him, it was the silence between them, the way her eyes seemed to look past him, as if her thoughts were already somewhere else. Viewers, what do you think? Was he imagining it, letting suspicion ruin what they had, or was there something hidden in those late nights and guarded secrets? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Could you ignore your instincts in a moment like this? The truth began to press heavier on him each day, like a weight he couldn't shake. He tried to focus on work, on conversations with friends, even on the simple routines of life, but the thought always circled back to her late nights. She would come home smelling faintly of cologne that wasn't his, her excuses rehearsed yet shaky. He wanted to ask, to confront her directly, but something held him back. Was it fear of hearing the truth, or was it the hope that maybe he was wrong, that his heart was lying to him? One evening, he drove past her office on impulse. The lights were off, the parking lot almost empty. Yet, when she came home later, she swore she had stayed late, catching up on reports. That lie cut deeper than any argument could. It was no longer about just love, it was about trust and betrayal. In the quiet moments, his mind began to play scenarios. Was it someone she knew from work? A stranger she had met along the way? The possibilities twisted into stories he couldn't escape. Meanwhile, he noticed her becoming more careful, changing her passwords, locking her phone, even turning it face down on the table when they ate. The conflict grew inside him, not just between suspicion and love, but between anger and the fear of losing her. Could he confront her and risk shattering everything they had built, or stay silent and slowly watch himself unravel? What would you do if you were in his place? Would you dig for answers, or wait for the truth to reveal itself? Comment below with your thoughts. Sometimes the choices we don't make can change everything. The nights grew longer, and the silence between them became heavier than any argument could have been. Every glance she gave him seemed rehearsed, every smile a little too forced. He noticed the small details more now, the way she typed quickly on her phone and then locked it instantly, the way she avoided eye contact when he asked simple questions. His heart ached, torn between love and suspicion, but his mind refused to let the pieces go unconnected. One Friday evening, he decided not to tell her his plans. Instead of staying late at work like she thought, he followed her discreetly. His hands gripped the steering wheel tighter with every turn she took, leading him farther from the places she had claimed to be. The road stretched into the darker side of the city, and his chest tightened as her car finally stopped in front of a dimly lit cafe. Through the window, he saw her, sitting across from a man in a fitted suit. The way she leaned in, the way her hand brushed across the table, it all felt like confirmation of his worst fears. But he couldn't hear their words, couldn't know the truth yet. Was it business? Was it something more? The uncertainty burned hotter than anger itself. He watched them laugh, her expression glowing in a way he hadn't seen at home in months. His heart shattered silently, yet he couldn't pull himself away. Every step closer to the glass door felt like a choice that could change his life forever. Should he walk in and confront them? Should he wait and gather more proof? The suspense clung to him, and with every second, the tension grew unbearable. What would you do standing there, seeing the person you love with someone else? Share your thoughts in the comments. This is where the story takes a turn no one expects. His breath fogged up the glass as he stood frozen, staring at the scene unfolding inside the cafe. The ache in his chest was unbearable, but something inside him whispered not to act too quickly. Just as he gathered the courage to walk in, his phone buzzed. It was a text, from her. "Running late, don't wait up." His pulse raced. She was lying, and now the truth was right in front of him. But what unsettled him even more was what happened next. The man she was with reached into his briefcase and slid a folder across the table. She opened it, her expression shifting from light-hearted to serious, almost anxious. Her fingers traced the papers as if weighing a decision that could change everything. The way she looked around nervously suggested this meeting wasn't as simple as an affair, it was something bigger, something secret. The sight left him torn. Was she cheating, or was she hiding something entirely different? The line between betrayal and mystery blurred, leaving him desperate for answers. Unable to stop himself, he inched closer, his shadow stretching under the cafe's warm lights. Just then, the man leaned toward her, his voice low but his expression sharp, almost threatening. She flinched, her eyes darting to the door as if she felt someone watching. For a brief second, her gaze locked with his through the glass. The shock on her face was undeniable, but it wasn't guilt he saw, it was fear. He stepped back, his mind spiraling. What was she afraid of? Why did it feel like she was trapped in something more dangerous than a secret romance? The twist twisted deeper inside his gut. Maybe this wasn't about love at all, but about secrets powerful enough to ruin lives. The tension climbed higher. Should he confront her now and risk exposing everything, or wait to uncover the truth behind those papers? Every move felt like a gamble, every choice heavier than the last. If you were standing there, torn between heartbreak and suspicion, would you confront the truth immediately, or would you wait and uncover what she's really hiding? Share your thoughts in the comments, because this story is only getting more complicated. His hand trembled as he pushed open the cafe door, the small bell above it announcing his arrival. Both of them looked up, her eyes wide with panic, the man's narrowing with irritation. She whispered his name, her voice breaking, but before she could say more, the man slid the folder shut and stood. His posture was cold, controlled, as if he'd been caught in something much larger than either of them realized. The husband's heart pounded. "What's going on?" he demanded, his voice louder than he intended. She reached for his arm, begging him to listen, but the man spoke first. "This isn't about you. She knows too much now, and you've just made it worse." The words carried a weight that froze the air between them. She finally broke down, confessing. The folder wasn't about an affair, it contained documents linking the coworker to illegal deals at their office. She had been meeting him to get proof, to protect her husband's career, not to betray him. The tears in her eyes were real, but so was the danger pressing in around them. Just as relief began to sink in, the twist came. The husband noticed the way she avoided his gaze when she swore she hadn't crossed any line. The coworker smirked knowingly, leaving behind a final sentence as he walked out, "Ask her why she didn't tell you the whole story." The cafe went silent, her trembling hand still clutching his. He had his answers, yet a new question burned brighter than ever. Had she truly been saving him, or had she been protecting herself all along? The cafe door closed behind the coworker, leaving a heavy silence that seemed to stretch forever. She kept her hand on his arm, trembling as if her entire world was crumbling before her eyes. He stood there, torn between anger, heartbreak, and the small thread of hope that maybe she had spoken the truth. Slowly, she whispered, "I was scared. I didn't want you to get dragged into this. I thought if I handled it myself, I could protect you." Her voice cracked, and for the first time, he saw not just guilt, but exhaustion in her eyes. She wasn't only a wife caught in a storm of suspicion, she was a woman who had been carrying too much on her shoulders alone. Still, the unanswered question burned deep inside him: why hadn't she trusted him enough to share everything from the start? They sat down together at the table, the folder still between them. He opened it with shaking hands, scanning through pages of financial records, signatures, and proof of schemes that could have destroyed his career and even their lives. It was real. She had been telling the truth. The betrayal wasn't in her actions, it was in her silence. "I should have trusted you," she admitted softly, tears sliding down her cheeks. "I thought hiding it would keep you safe, but it only pushed us further apart." He reached across the table, his hand covering hers, not as a man fully healed, but as one trying to find the courage to move forward. The drive home was quiet, filled with unspoken words. In that silence, he realized love wasn't about perfection or blind faith. It was about facing storms together, even when trust had cracks in it. The ending no one expected wasn't just about her choice or his heartbreak, it was about finding strength in forgiveness and the possibility of rebuilding something stronger than before. As they walked into their home, he turned to her and said, "If we start again, no more secrets. Whatever comes, we face it together." She nodded, relief washing over her face, and for the first time in weeks, she smiled, not with certainty, but with hope. The story leaves us wondering, can trust ever be fully repaired once it's broken, or does it transform into something different? Viewers, what do you think? Was forgiveness the right choice here? Would you have stayed, or walked away? Comment your thoughts below and let us know if you'd like to see a sequel to this story.